everyone, welcome to another episode of Jay's Beer Review, and I'm doing something kind of just thought of on the spot. I'm on my plane, on my way to Columbus, Ohio, and I figured, you know what, I've never done a beer review on a plane, so why not? So I'm going to call this my Mile High Beer Review, and I was hoping that they had Coors Light, since, you know, Coors Light's from the mountains, and I guess you would say the mountains are like mile high, especially Denver is, they consider it the Mile High city. But they didn't have Coors Light, so I'm going to do Miller Lite, which is owned by Coors Light anyway, or Miller owns them or whatever. Now, I've never done Miller Lite, and I usually don't do a traditional, regular domestic lager or pilsner, but I figured for the occasion of doing something on an airplane, why not? It'd be fun and unique. And the first thing I noticed right off the bat is this can is dented to hell. Good Lord knows what this beer has been through. Now, I gotta be honest, when it comes to a domestic lager or a domestic beer, this is my domestic beer of choice. I don't drink it often, but if I'm going to, if I'm camping, this is the way to go because it's at least the least bitter, least amount of gross taste to it. So this is my beer of choice. But when I did my domestic beer challenge and blindfolded myself, I couldn't get them all anyway. So is it really that much of a difference? I don't know. But I am going to go and do a full review. The alcohol percentage on this, I imagine it's like 4.5. It's actually not on the can. So I'll be sure to add that at a later point. But with that said, I am going to go ahead and give this a review, and I'm using my airplane cup to give it a try. Talk about dedication to my beer reviews. This beer cost me $6, which is ridiculous. But I wanted to do a beer review on an airplane, so I figure what the heck. Alright, I only got about half the can in it, but what we do have is a very high carbonated, very golden, transparent beer with just a one finger, just foamy head that you know is going to dissipate in seconds. The carbonation is extremely high, which is typical of these domestic light beers. Let's give it a smell. What can I say? I mean, it smells like cheap, grainy beer with no flavor. But let's give it a try. Cheers. I mean, I'm so used to craft beer at this point in my life. This beer does absolutely nothing for me. So it's really tough to give it a true grade because all it is a grainy, corn-like tasting, alcoholic beverage with lots of carbonation. There's no flavors, you're not pulling anything from it. I guess the big thing when you're drinking beers like this is you want to make sure that the bitterness is not overwhelming, that makes you go, oh, and disgusting, like the one I had the other day, and this doesn't. So it serves its purpose, and it is drinkable, so for that, you gotta give it its due, but there's nothing respectable about the beer for a craft beer to enjoy. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and drink some more of this, and I'll get back to you in a few moments. Back, and as you can see, I have just a little bit of beer here left, and what can I say? I mean, it is what it is. It's a domestic, cheap lager, pilsner. They talk about triple hops brewed. I mean, that's such a gimmick anyway, because most beer, unless you're talking like a seasonal beer where they use like seasons, is triple hopped anyway, so it's just a marketing ploy. And if you really want to talk about hops, where's the hops? There's really not any hop bitterness to the beer, so it's not only a marketing ploy, it's also kind of not true. It's not very hoppy at all. It's just plain and generic. If they wanted to say, hey, we're a plain generic beer, then maybe I would give them less, I wouldn't talk so negatively about them, but because of the fact that they're going to use that ploy and then not have any hop bitterness, you're kind of like, yeah, right. But it does serve its purpose. If you're looking for a beer that's easy to drink and that's cheap and just wants to get you drunk, then I guess it serves its purpose. But, you know, I mean, at first, the first couple sips were okay, but the more I drank it, I was like, oh, it's kind of disgusting. And it's so carbonated, you just get bloated from it, and I got massive gas from it already. Excuse me. So it just goes to show that the beer's really not that good. I know for some of you hardcore Miller Lite drinkers out there, Dad, you're not going to ever go away from these type of beers, and that's fine, but it's just not for me anymore. I can handle it, but I just would prefer not to drink it. Unless, of course, you're flying on a plane and it's 10:30 in the morning and you just want a beer to calm your nerves down because you hate flying. That's about the only time I'm going to drink this anymore. Or camping. It serves a purpose for camping. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and do my final chug and give you my final thoughts and grade. As far as final thoughts and grade, I'm going to call this a below average beer. I'm not going to quite call it bad or undrinkable, because it's at least drinkable and it's not disgusting, but it's just not a good beer, so below average is where it scores. I've had worse. I've had craft beer that's worse, but it's just not that great of a beer. So finally, once and for all,